will be looking at anatomy and physiology. And the subtopic today will be types of body. But today we'll be mainly focusing on the skeletal system. So at the end of the lesson, you will correctly identify the parts of the skeletal system and list their functions. You will also describe the function of joints and give examples. So we know the skeletal system consists of 206 bones, and the main aim of the skeletal system is to provide movement at joints. So now I will play a video for you.
At first thought of the skeletal system, you might think of a lot of bones, with a lot of names to memorize. That's fair. You might know bones consist of a protein known as collagen, as well as many minerals. But one thing that many don't realize is that bones are a living tissue. And there are so many things going on in bones. No bones about it, this video is going to be interesting. Now our focus is going to be on the human skeletal system. This system includes bones and also connective tissue, like ligaments, generally connecting bone to bone, tendons, which generally connect muscle to bone, and also cartilage, which we'll get to later. I also emphasize human to point out there are many different kinds of skeletal systems in different organisms. For example, in our static skeleton, a skeleton is filled with liquid and kept under pressure. We also mentioned insects in our animal video. Insects have an exoskeleton, a hard outer skeleton made of chitin. In order to grow, most insects have to molt, which involves shedding their old exoskeleton. And then many other animals have a hard skeleton on the inside, called an endoskeleton. Humans, for example, have an endoskeleton. The skeletal system has an important job of supporting your body and protecting the organs inside. But your skeletal system also provides storage of important minerals, involves the making of red and white blood cells, and, along with the help of muscles, of course, movement. A reminder that body systems don't work in isolation. In fact, the term musculoskeletal system, used in a lot of textbooks, combines the skeletal system with the muscular system, highlighting their work together. An adult human generally has 206 bones. A few more when they were a baby, but some of the bones fused together by adulthood. The human skeleton can be divided into the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton, think central axis of a human, includes the bones in the skull, in your ears, those are called ossicles, bone in your throat, called the hyoid, vertebral column, and the rib cage. As you can imagine, muscles attach to bones in the axial skeleton to let you move parts of your body like your head and neck, as well as breathe. It also offers a foundation to the other division, the appendicular skeleton. All the bones of the arms and the shoulder girdle where they attach are included, essential for the functioning of arms and hands. And all the bones of the legs and the pelvic girdle where they attach, essential for movement. Let's talk about bone shape, because that can be used to classify bones. Long bones. You know, it's not that they have to be long per se, it's more about their cylinder shape and the fact that they're longer than they are wide. These bones tend to be moved in muscle contraction. The femur in the leg is a great example of a long bone. The tibia and fibula in the legs are also long bones. In the arms, you can have the humerus, ulna, and radius. In part of the hands, you have metacarpals and phalanges. In part of the feet, you have metatarsals and phalanges. Short bones. Unlike long bones, these are more like a cube, as their length and width are close to equal. These bones are also moved using muscle contraction, and these bones can offer stability. Carpals in the wrist and tarsals of the ankle are examples. Sesamoid bones. Like a sesame seed, they are roundish. They're great about handling pressure. The patella is an example. Flat bones. So unfortunately, you don't want to just go on the name because they aren't necessarily flat. They're often curved and thin. Skull bones, otherwise known as cranial bones, and shoulder bones, otherwise known as scapulae, are examples. And irregular bones, a shape that is irregular. Basically, there isn't a specific shape description you can use to define them. Irregular bones can be protective from an assortment of forces. Vertebrae are a great example. Let's talk a bit about what's going on inside bones. In some part of all bone process, it's estimated that every year, approximately 5 to 10% of the skeleton is remodeled. So remodeling in the skeletal system means bone that has been damaged or just old is reabsorbed and replaced. If you get injured or if you do a lot of exercise, this can also impact remodeling. In addition, the process of breaking down bone also releases minerals that the body may require. A major mineral bone stores is calcium. Specific hormones from the endocrine system actually can signal whether calcium in the bones may need to be released. Specific hormones
here, let's check out some joints. He knows a lot about the science stuff, Professor Dave explains. We just learned about all the bones in the human body. But if these are so hard, how is it that the human body is so flexible and bending? Such variety of motion is made possible by things called joints. These are found where bones meet. So let's go through the structure and function of all the joints in our bodies. First of all, we can classify joints either by their structure or by their function. If by function, we are referring to the extent of mobility that is provided by the joint. Synarthroses are immovable. Amphiarthroses are slightly movable, and diarthroses are freely movable. These each serve their own particular purpose within the skeletal system. Then, if going by structure, we can discuss fibrous joints, which tend to be immovable, synovial joints, which tend to be freely movable, and cartilaginous joints, which exhibit a range of mobilities. Let's zoom in on each structural classification. First, with fibrous joints, there is a lot of dense fibrous connective tissue and no joint cavity to speak of. These joints are for connecting bones that don't require a lot of movement. There are three types of fibrous joints. These are sutures, syndesmoses, and gomphoses. We talked about sutures when we looked at the skull, and this is the only place we will find them. They contain many interlocking fibers of connective tissue that are connected to the periosteum of each bone, allowing them to tightly interlock, and this tissue eventually turns into bone, or ossifies, so that by middle age, the skull bones are all fused together, at which point the sutures become synostoses. The next type of fibrous joint is syndesmoses. This is where bone, we see this connecting the radius and the ulna. Here the fibers are short, which prevents movement. And the last type of fibrous joint are gomphoses, which are like a peg in socket type of joint. This only occurs between a tooth and its alveolar socket, as the teeth are more or less embedded and ligaments. Next, after fibrous joints, we have cartilaginous joints. Here, as one might guess, bones are
Good. So, you guys just watch out the video, so tell me some things that you learned. So, we can start off with a type of bone. Okay. First bone is long. Then we have
Short bone.
okay. Then we have flat and
Irregularness.
Okay. Thank you. So, how many bones does the skeletal system consist of?
Well, 206 miss.
Okay. Good. So, alright, the functions of the skeletal system are shape, support, protection, movement, and blood production. And joints. So, without joints, it would not be possible for you guys to move. Well, the movement. So, joints help to the movement and, all together with the skeletal system. So today we look at the anatomy and physiology, and we look at the type of bodies, and our main focus was the skeletal system. Now we know that the skeletal system consists of 206 bones, as I mentioned before, and the main aim of the skeletal system is to provide movement at time. So thank you. Alright, for homework, you're gonna find out about the functions, write about it, and the types of joints.